Hello everyone, and welcome to my first Sims 4 speed build. This build was inspired by a well-known Sims creator, LilSimsie, and her most recent shell challenge, the Simsie Lil Shell. So, booting up my game, I downloaded the shell and got to work. When I started, I initially planned to use the square at the back as a kitchen and having the living room and dining room in the main rectangle. However, that quickly changed as I realized I could easily put the bedroom into its own section and separate it with a bathroom. And although this may look like a starter home, it's not, and you'll see why. As you saw, I started with the front door and some windows along the side, and using the cheapest furniture just to map out the flooring, and eventually put the kitchen against the wall opposite the front door. I do go back and change this later into like a better color palette, but I also want to point out that whatever happened to my upper cabinets in the kitchen, why did it put the dish corner thing? I don't even know how I put that there. And afterwards, one of the cupboards disappeared as well. Trust me, I fixed it. I just had no idea what was going on and cut out a long time of looking up why that happened. Moving on, I had dealt with the kitchen and put a sliding door to the outside because I had a plan. I wanted to put a little seating area at the back and maybe room for something like a dog play area or like a pond. But that comes way later in the video. Something I do wish though is that the sliding door could be as tall as the windows. Like, I get it's a door, but still, I wish it could have been, like, lined up. But, you know, after struggling for a bit with the bin placement and adding a fire alarm, I placed the walls for the bedroom and bathroom. I did adjust the front door a couple times, and that's honestly what made this challenge so damn annoying, the front door. At this point, I also realized I hadn't put the lights in, so put some in the kitchen area with something other than the tiny circle light and move into the bedroom and bathroom. If you can't tell, I already have zero consistency with sticking to one room at a time because I go back and forth quite a lot. I do want to point out the doors on the inside, they suck. The placement was so terrible, but there's only so much you can do in a tiny shell. And it's all part of a challenge, you know? I also had to resize the bathroom. Finally able to put in a shower, toilet, and sink. Finally, I move on to the bedroom and pick out the base colors for the house, a mid-tone green and mid-dark wood color, inspired by the bed that I'd chosen. I also found some matching nightstands. I do only use one, and hey, for once there's matching swatches. And also fit in a desk and chair with computer. Also, trust me, I do put in wallpaper, I just leave it for later, and I do use cheats in this house, by the way. I'm pretty sure the desk I picked is a career reward for the writing career. I just wanted to use a pretty desk that had a somewhat matching wood swatch to the bed and bedside table. Returning to the kitchen, I had originally envisioned some kind of small home for a couple, but there was not enough room for two chairs to fit alone, so I just shoved it into the diagonal corner, and originally I had planned on cutting that corner off with an internal wall, but if I can use the corner, why should I cut it off? Then I get around to replacing the counters and wall cabinets in a nicer swatch and put a cat pot plant on the table. That cat planter is the cutest thing. So if you like it and don't have it, it is part of the cats and dogs pack, which I got not long ago. It also has stuff like cat trees and pet toys and a ton of other cute stuff, so I highly recommend purchasing this pack if you haven't already. Once again, I find the counter from earlier for the bathroom and change it along with the shower, as well as add some wallpaper and a few clutter items on the counter. I also don't think it was worthwhile putting a bath mat in such a tiny room, but I say the tile pattern makes up for it. Again, I try and keep with the browns and greens. It is such a pretty color palette. I kind of have a habit of building with like a brown and another color combo, and the placement of this particular house just being surrounded by trees, it only made sense to go with an earthy toned house and put plants everywhere I can, just without filling up every nook and cranny. Listen, I love building with The Sims plants, but I cannot be trusted to keep a real plant alive. A few years ago, I had a friend give me a cactus for my birthday, along with some other things, and I left this cactus on my desk for about a year and a half before I realized I just left it there, and I cannot be trusted with plants again. Anyways, now getting around to adding a mirror and the counter clutter I keep talking about. Just some simple toothbrushes in a cup, a basket of bottles, and some green nail polish, because when I pick a color palette, I try and stick to it as best as I can. Once that's done, I head back to furnishing the bedroom with some plants for the table and desk clutter like some books. I also pick a nice green wallpaper and some dark toned wooden flooring, but not too dark to clash with the rest of the colours in the house. Soon, you'll also see me struggle with those two inner doors, and trust me, if I could have done something better, I would have. At least they had a decent swatch to go with everything else in the house. Eventually, I found some nice wallpaper for the bedroom, and originally I was going to go with this white bordered one with the leaf pattern, but I felt it was like way too busy for just like one wall, but also too busy for all the walls in the bedroom. And I ended up going with this brown and green wallpaper, not only for the bedroom, but for the main part of the house as well. It's at this point I realize I haven't put any windows anywhere other than that one side of the house at the start of the build. So I chose some very simple rectangle windows with brown frames paired with some green curtains. I also chose some wooden panel flooring for both the bedroom and the rest of the house, as well as a green and white patterned rug under the bed. I honestly don't know why it took me so long to pick a rug, but I guess not all swatches were going to line up quite perfectly with everything else as expected. I mean, we sim players know the feeling. But after all that searching for a decent rug, I moved on to the wall art above the desk. I did consider a few types of art and even putting in a window, but I didn't go with it in the end and left the wall blank. However, I did put a small framed photo of a pear on the desk, so close enough. Afterwards, I put some books and a tissue box on the desk and some plants, both regular sized and sized down, on the bedside table, as well as a fox basket thing. It looked cute, so I felt it matched. I probably should have put some more fox related things to go with it, like one of the baby mats. However, I hadn't quite envisioned this home as one with kids in mind. I was more treating it as a vacation home, even though I put it on the gallery as residential. Eventually, I also put in a third window to this room with larger curtains in the green swatch, and then I returned to the kitchen for a few other swatch adjustments and adding a dishwasher and a teapot thing to the counter. I had no idea dishwashers were even a thing in The Sims until about a month ago, and oh my gosh, they make gameplay so much easier. I'm currently doing my own personal legacy challenge just for fun, and oh my god, it is such a time saver to have a dishwasher rather than make your Sims wash dishes by hand. Because I always find that my Sims will go wash their dishes in the bathroom sink instead of the kitchen sink, but if there's a dishwasher, it goes in the dishwasher every time. And it comes in a few colours too, so it can match with any kitchen design. Speaking of legacy challenges, maybe I'll do one on YouTube sometime. Please leave some suggestions in the comments below for any themes that you may have seen like going around in the Sims community. I do have a few in mind, such as like a rainbow family, like the first Sim is red, the second Sim is orange, and so on, or alphabet named Sims, where this founder is starts with A, and their child starts with B, and you keep going, or science babies only, because that was recently added in the infant update. But if you have any other ideas, please share them with me. Back to the speed build, I've changed the backsplash of the kitchen to a more matching tile, and I also replaced the stove to match the colors as well. Once that's done, I move to the exterior decorating and struggle with is what I consider the hardest part of building a Sims house, the exterior wallpaper. I don't know what it is, but I can never work out what to use and often leave it blank when I play and never play with full walls up. Another mistake I make pretty often is confusing which arrows raise and lower the individual room heights with the arrow that adds and removes a foundation on the house. And I also didn't realize there's a separate build category for like changing the foundation wallpaper. Listen, I may be a more proficient person in building instead of CAS, but trust me, I don't know what I'm doing. Ignoring my few struggles of building, I've added a garbage bin outside and a mailbox next to the stairs with some railing. I wish I could put some clutter at the top of the stairs, like a dog toy or something similar, but I get why I can't. At least roofing a house is a lot simpler. But oh my god, I hated choosing the roof color on this one. I went back and forth so many times, but At least I managed to choose something that went well with the color palette. Next, I added some columns under the diagonal part of the roof, but I don't think I made them tall enough. So, just a warning to anyone planning to download this lot off the gallery, the columns are not tall enough. Or at least they probably aren't. However, I did add another window and change the foundation color and the section to the stairs, and then the roof color again. When I say I'm indecisive, I mean it. I had to cut out a full 10 minutes of me looking for a foundation with a matching swatch for the section under the front stairs. But after that, I was able to begin furnishing the front garden with some window boxes and some bushes next to the stairs, and then some extra flowers around it. I also replaced the front door because it looked like it had columns along the sides and tied better into the actual columns off to the side of the building. Once I get the front garden in order with some simple white flower bushes and the colourful flowers, we move on to my absolute favourite part of the build, the backyard. While I did enjoy building the actual house on this lot, I recently found these gorgeous pergolas and I absolutely had to use them in this build. I also wanted to have some planter boxes that weren't in an entirely sunny area, as well as a shaded outdoor dining area, and this was perfect. I built this out in the front of the lot, but moved them to the back so I could have a small pond off to the side with some trees, and I think it looks amazing. And LilSimsie, if you see this video, I hope you like this too. As part of this outdoor area with a garden, I knew having a barbecue was essential, whether this was used as a vacation home or as a residential lot. I also used the barbecue and the side tables from the Desert Luxe kit because it felt a lot more fitting with this build's color palette than any of the usual barbecues that I would choose. I also put some seed packets on the table because it just completes the look of the little garden and ties both of the pergolas together. After I'd moved all the outside decorations to the back of the lot, I went back inside and I added a pet food bowl and a pet bed. I was thinking more with the dog in mind, hence no litter box in the bathroom, so sorry to all the Sims players who prefer cats, I'm probably biased since I have a dog. Finally, once I'd moved all my outdoor furnishings to the back of the lot, I began working on the pond. Granted, I've never actually used the pond tool before, only the terrain paint, so I think for a first try it's pretty good. I added some trees and rocks around to make it feel more realistic and rather than just a giant puddle on the side of the lot. Then added some lily pads and fish where I could, and overall I think the pond was a very successful addition to this lot. I had considered putting some lounge chairs from the Desert Luxe kit, but decided against it because I didn't have the room on the lot or any ideas to cohesively style them and make them fit in. And same thing with some of those hoops that the pets can jump through from the cats and dogs pack. I'd wanted to add some of those, but again, felt way too busy on the lot. So instead, I added a stone pathway from the main house to the gardening area and to the seating. And there you have it, the Lady Lilibug Lil Shell using LilSimsie's latest shell challenge. I hope you enjoyed this speed build and maybe I'll do more in the future, so please leave any ideas you have in the comments below and I will see you next time. Don't forget to check out my Twitch. I am twitch.tv/LadyLilibug42 and maybe you'll be able to join a build stream in the future. Again, thank you so much for checking out this video and thank you to LilSimsie for the build shell. Bye everyone!